Good day, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about our anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy, also known as ABAC. This policy is critical because bribery and corruption not only harm our company, but can also expose us individually to serious legal and reputational risks. Our goal today is to understand what bribery and corruption mean, how they can appear in our daily work, and how we can prevent them. This material was developed for educational purposes only and is not intended to suit any particular entity. The company accepts no liability or responsibility whatsoever for any loss, damage, cost, or expense to any party resulting directly or indirectly from the use of, or referral to, or reliance on this training material by any party, whether wholly or partially. This material shall not be reproduced, redistributed, transmitted, or shared directly or indirectly by any means to any other party or published electronically or via print, in whole or in part, for any purpose without our prior written permission. When no longer needed, it should be immediately deleted from all electronic storage devices and/or any other retrieval system of any nature, and any hard copies made should be destroyed. The intellectual property in the presentation belongs to PMW Group of companies unless specifically indicated. In Malaysia, we have strong laws to combat bribery and corruption, primarily under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Act 2009. This act came into effect on January 1, 2009 and established the MACC as an independent, transparent, and professional body. The act was later strengthened through the MACC Amendment Act 2018, which took effect on October 1, 2018, except for Section 4. Finally, on June 1, 2020, Section 17A on corporate liability came into force, holding organizations accountable for corruption committed by associated persons. The corporate liability guidelines on adequate procedures were issued under Section 17A(5) of the MACC Act 2009, as amended in 2018. These guidelines are principle-based, meaning they can be applied across organizations of any size and in any industry. They follow the TRUSD framework. Top-level commitment. Leadership must actively promote anti-corruption practices. Risk assessment. Organizations must periodically evaluate corruption risks. Undertaking of control measures. Proper policies and procedures should be implemented. Systematic review, monitoring, and enforcement. Continuous monitoring and improvement are required. Training and communication. Employees and business partners must be informed and trained on anti-corruption measures. Following TRUSD ensures that organizations demonstrate adequate procedures to defend against liability under Section 17A. The MACC Act 2009 clearly defines several main corruption offenses. These include receiving a bribe, accepting money, gifts, or benefits in exchange for influence, offering a bribe, giving or promising something of value to gain an unfair advantage, false claims or intending to deceive, submitting fraudulent information to gain benefits. Attempts to commit the offenses, even trying to bribe or deceive, is punishable. Abuse of power or position, using one's role for personal or others' gain. Failure to report bribery. Anyone aware of bribery but not reporting it commits an offense. Together, these offenses form the backbone of Malaysia's anti-corruption framework, ensuring accountability and integrity in both public and private sectors. Let's clarify the difference between corruption and bribery. Corruption is the broader concept. It is the act of giving or receiving any gratification or reward, whether in cash or in kind, in exchange for performing a task related to one's duties. Bribery is one type of corruption. It specifically involves the act of offering, giving, promising, soliciting, or receiving gratification to improperly influence decisions or actions. In simple terms, all bribery is corruption, but not all corruption is limited to bribery. Types of bribery. There are different types of bribery. It could be direct, like giving money to a government officer, or indirect, such as using third parties like consultants or agents to pass on a bribe. It could also come in the form of gifts, entertainment, or favors intended to influence business outcomes. Types of corruption. Corruption is not limited to bribery. It can appear in many different ways. It can take the form of extortion, where someone is forced to give benefits under pressure, or a breach of trust, where responsibilities are abused for dishonest purposes. Trading under influence happens when decisions are made because of undue pressure rather than merit. We also have fraud and money laundering, where illegal profits are hidden or disguised, as well as embezzlement, which is the misuse of entrusted funds. Abuse of power occurs when authority is used for personal or organizational advantage, and collusion refers to secret arrangements that give unfair benefits. All these actions undermine fairness, accountability, and trust in both business and government. Who this policy applies to? This policy applies to everyone: directors, managers, employees, consultants, vendors, suppliers, service providers, and business partners. No matter your role or level, all of us must comply. PMW Groups on ABAC policy. PMW Group are committed to conducting business dealings with integrity. This means avoiding practices of bribery and corruption of all forms in the company's daily operations. The group has adopted a zero-tolerance approach against all forms of bribery and corruption and takes a strong stance against such acts. It outlines the PMW Group's commitment to uphold all laws and regulatory requirements relating to anti-bribery and anti-corruption. Violation of this policy will be taken seriously, and the company will undertake necessary actions, including dismissal, fines, and imprisonment, not to mention financial and reputational damages, consistent with the requirements of the relevant laws and regulations. The policy documents highlights the following. This policy applies equally to its business dealings with commercial, private sector, and government, public sector, entities, and includes interactions with their directors, employees, agents, and other appointed representatives at all levels. Even the perception of bribery is to be avoided. The group recognizes the value of integrity in its employees and directors. The group's recruitment, training, performance evaluation, remuneration, recognition, and promotion for all employees shall be designed to recognize integrity. The group conducts due diligence on employees who holds or may be holding exposed positions. All forms of bribery and corruption are prohibited. The group shall develop appropriate training and communication plan on anti-bribery and corruption for relevant parties. This policy applies to all countries worldwide, without exception and without regard to regional customs, local practices, or competitive conditions. The group conducts due diligence on employees who holds or may be holding exposed positions, which shall include background checks or document verification or conducting interviews prior to entering into any formalized relationship with them and periodically thereafter. The group is committed to conducting all business ethically and in compliance with both local and international anti-corruption laws. This includes the MAC Act 2009 and its amendments, the Malaysian Penal Code, revised 2025, and the Companies Act 2016. Beyond Malaysia, we also recognize international legislation such as the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and the U.K. Bribery Act 2010. All of these laws strictly prohibit bribery and corruption. They also require organizations to keep accurate books and records and to implement effective controls to prevent corrupt practices. It is important to note that in any case where there is a conflict between mandatory law and the principles of this policy, the law will always take precedence. Gifts, entertainment and travel, donations and sponsorship. Gifts, entertainment, travel, and donations can sometimes be misused as bribery. Our policy prohibits giving or receiving anything that could improperly influence business decisions. Reasonable and proportionate gifts are allowed, but they must be transparent, recorded, and approved where necessary. For example, a corporate gift is acceptable, but a lavish personal gift is not. Any gifts or hospitality involving government officials must be declared and approved. To guide us in handling gifts, entertainment, and travel, the group uses a decision matrix based on 4 categories: acceptable, tolerable, cautious, and prohibited. Under transparency, everything should be properly disclosed and recorded. If it could cause embarrassment or raise public concerns, it moves into the cautious or prohibited zone. Concealment or false records are strictly forbidden. For recipients, giving to organizations is acceptable, while involving spouses or family is risky, and giving to individuals who can influence business outcomes is prohibited. Regarding ability to influence, if the recipient has no pending business decisions, it's acceptable. But if a decision is pending, any gift or entertainment becomes prohibited. For value, modest and low-value items are fine, while excessive gifts, cash, or cash equivalents are never allowed. And lastly, purpose must always be clear and legitimate, such as promotional activities. If it looks like a bribe or a quid pro quo, it is strictly prohibited. This matrix ensures employees make the right judgment when dealing with gifts, entertainment, and travel, protecting both themselves and the group from risks. Facilitation payments. What is facilitation payment? Facilitation payments are payments made to speed up routine actions that a person or organization is already entitled to receive. For example, giving cash to a government official to rush an approval process is considered a facilitation payment. At PMW Group, we maintain a zero-tolerance stance. No facilitation payments will be made under any circumstances. However, there are situations where legitimate fees are acceptable. These include official services such as expedited visa processing or lawful police escort services, but only if certain conditions are fulfilled. The service must be available to the public. The fee must be listed on an official and published price list. Payment must go to the organization, not an individual. And finally, a legal and official receipt must be provided. This ensures full transparency, protects employees, and keeps the group compliant with both local and international anti-bribery laws. Conflict of interest. What is conflict of interest? A conflict of interest is a situation in which a person or organization is involved in multiple interests, financial or otherwise, and serving one interest could conflict against another. In situations where confronted with such conflict, employees are required to complete the conflicts of interest disclosure form, which may involve a selected group of individuals and entities, including 1. Dealing with suppliers, customers, agents, and competitors. 2. Personal dealings with suppliers and customers. 3. Outside employment and activities outside the group. 4. Board membership. 5. Family members and close personal relationships. And 6. Investment activities. The Group Human Resources Department plays a central role in ensuring compliance with our anti-bribery and anti-corruption policy. Firstly, HR has the oversight responsibility. This means they monitor and ensure that compliance controls are effectively implemented across the organization. Secondly, HR will review the ABAC policy periodically to make sure it remains suitable, practical, and aligned with current laws and business practices. Most importantly, Group HR serves as the independent authority under this policy. They have the power to act impartially against bribery, including initiating investigations when there is reasonable cause for suspicion. This ensures that the ABAC framework is not only implemented but also enforced fairly, without bias, and in line with the group's commitment to integrity and zero tolerance towards bribery and corruption. Reporting of policy violations. To strengthen transparency and accountability, our ABAC policy provides secured whistleblowing channels for employees and stakeholders. You may report any suspected bribery or corruption case directly through the following contacts. 1. By email to integritycommittee@pmw-industries.com. 2. By reaching out to the chairman of the Compliance and Integrity Committee, Mr. Lee Han-wha, or his delegate. 3. Or by phone at 05-322-4690, extension 108. All reports made through these channels will be treated with the highest confidentiality and without fear of retaliation. The objective is to ensure that everyone feels safe to speak up and help the group maintain its commitment to integrity and ethical business practices. Sanctions for non-compliance. Consequences of non-compliance. The group regards bribery and corruption as a serious matter. Non-compliance may lead to disciplinary action, up to and including termination of employment. Further legal action may also be taken in the event that the group's interests have been harmed as a result of non-compliance. The group shall notify the relevant regulatory authority if any identified bribery or corruption incidents have been proven beyond reasonable doubt. Where notification to the relevant regulatory authorities have been done, the group shall provide full cooperation to the said regulatory authorities, including further action that such regulatory authority may decide to take against convicted employees. To wrap up, remember that integrity is at the heart of everything we do at PMW. Bribery and corruption are not just against company policy, they are against the law. Each of us plays a role in protecting our company's reputation. Thank you for your attention. Let's now move on to the post-assessment to check our understanding of the policy. This post-assessment quiz is designed to evaluate participants' understanding of the PMW Group of Companies Anti-Bribery and Anti-Corruption (ABAC) policy following the briefing session. The questions cover the key elements of the policy, including its purpose, scope, reporting channels, safeguards, responsibilities, and consequences of misuse. The quiz aims to reinforce awareness of the policy, ensure employees and stakeholders clearly understand their rights and responsibilities, emphasize the importance of integrity, transparency, and ethical practices within the group. Instructions. The quiz consists of 10 multiple-choice questions. Each question has only one correct answer. Please select the most appropriate answer for each question. The passing score is 80%, 8 out of 10, to demonstrate sufficient understanding.